And finally, I'm delighted to introduce my colleague, Dr. Ross Zafonte.
Thank you very much, Michelle. So a big round of applause for my more junior colleagues who gave phenomenal talks. When your name starts at Z, you're used to being at the end. For me, that's been a life. But today I'm going to talk to you about something that has a level of urgency, a level of need that is stunning. And that is all of you. And how important, oops, let's try that. And that is, philanthropy is key to our future. I'm going to talk about two paths today, one related to national philanthropy for Physiatry. So I'm not doing football, even though it's Sunday. And the other is your local philanthropy. We have no choice. We have invested in this heavily. It is a critical part of what we do. My own bias is no company, no successful group doesn't invest in its own research and development. You'd never hear that at Microsoft. You certainly wouldn't hear it at Apple. And yet, compared to our colleagues in neurosurgery and in other entities, we may not be at the highest level of giving for ourselves and elucidating our patients to do so. We have important stories to tell. Why is this important? Why is team physiatry important? You heard it from Michelle the other day. We have insurance issues. We have government. We have regulatory issues. We have concerns with proximal technologies that may substitute for what we do. There is this whole issue of non-inferiority studies saying that something is as good but cheaper. And so we need to disrupt and innovate. And how are we going to fund that? There's another threat, the government. Our friends in the government believe that all medical spending is confiscatory. For those who love macroeconomics, confiscatory really means that you eat everything else. That spending on health care eats everything else. No schools, no bridges, etc. And so it's unlikely to just grow natively. And then we have these three kind gentlemen, right? From Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, who are trying to innovate in this space. So we need to think differently. The theory of the 80s isn't going to do it. Many of you know that my son is a hockey player, and we've been a hockey family for some years. And so I met Wayne Gretzky, who many consider still is the greatest player in the history of the game. And he's, sounds good, eh? He is not much taller than me, rather slight guy. So how is he so great for so long in a very difficult game where the selection in winnowing process is stunning? Because from childhood, he was taught from his dad to skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is. And for us, that is the compelling solution. We have to use philanthropy directly for this purpose, and I'll show you some exemplars. In this country, 1 in 7 people worldwide, almost 1 billion individuals have some form of disability. Some would say it's higher than that. 1 in 5 Americans, some would say 1 in 4. 1 in 6 children, there is a compelling need. Yet I would tell you, if you really look strictly, not at the macros where they're showing some broad work, really what's rehab-funded research, it's under 1% at the NIH. 1%. So it takes a village, right? And you have a picture here of a Bostonian sitting with a famous New York Yankee fan. It takes all of us to work with agencies like the Foundation for PM&R that brings together young people and gives them the chance to start up a project, to get that native data that we don't have that same infrastructure for that neurology and other people do. Not that they're not wonderful, they are. But we deserve an equal chance. And our need is great. You don't invest in yourself, you've got a problem. Let me show you some examples. We need resources. We need people. We need a dedication to that mission. And we, as they say in the ancient days in Rome, are responsible. Summa response. We are responsible for our own specialty that has given us so much. And therefore, we have to and are compelled to donate nationally to agencies like the Foundation of PM&R that give a startup for younger people. Now I'm going to go quickly and talk about the opportunity at your own institutions. U.S. donors contribute $38 billion a year. It's the most grateful country in the world. People do it for many reasons. They donate because they want to be grant makers. There's partnering opportunities with your institutions. There's planned gifts, i.e. when someone passes, I'll give you some money. There's foundation grants, but there's lots of opportunity. We don't take advantage of it enough. Why do people do this? People do it because, hey, I want a little special access for me, or it's a vital part of the healing process, or I want to connect with other donors, or I want the benefits of research. You need to figure out in your community what's important. Now, I have my own bias that names and recognition count, right? I don't get to hang around with Shaggy very often. But my bias is very clear in that there's an ethos about who people are taken care of and what they're hanging around with, and sometimes the fact that we think that everybody should be the same, and yes, they should get the same medical care, but a little extra here and a little extra there, and we can help this broad group of people who are disadvantaged, who don't have an opportunity. We can advance the field for them, I would say, is the greater common good. How can physicians be helpful? Well, we can be ambassadors. We can assist with hospital tours. We can tell people about people who have gratitude. We could speak at development events. You can get actively involved. You can share the news of your work, whether it's clinical in an innovative way or whether it's research, and you can be involved in that donor campaign. Why do many people do this? There is a social connection of giving, believe it or not. They feel good about doing it, and they feel connected in one way or another to others. There is a magnetism or stickiness, especially among those who are a bit wealthy in doing this, in being involved in a cause. Hey, you might as well make it your cause. You have 1.4 billion people to take care of. And so this stuff works. Patient stories can be very helpful. For those who don't know, this is a picture of Amelia Clark on the outside, who has told her story in a number of public events and is now supporting some of her work with her mom. Amelia Clark from Game of Thrones really has focused on issues of recovery. Our theme has been things like, how can we help those with brain injury recover? How can we mitigate chronic pain? How can we take stories like the Boston bombing event and create a movie opening or another event with Jake Gyllenhaal and some of the Seldecs, and provide for an opportunity to grow a bigger community? It's not about us anymore. It's about my young people. It's about creating community, and it's about serving the social disparities and the needs we have in our community. That includes our work with veterans. So this is the HOMEBASE REDSOX program that was started. You knew I'd get back at the Yankees somehow. Some 11 years ago, where we now have a national run and occupy all of Fenway Park and have built a large facility around that. So these things are possible in the physiatric world. We don't have to be subjugate to oncology and other events from a philanthropy perspective. We have a common responsibility for ourselves and our young people, and we have a common responsibility to innovate for our field and our patients. Lastly, I show you what was our first event where we got a fair amount some years ago, and we've now many times over done that, and I have grown our work by fourfold. So the first thing I can say is start. Do something, meet with people, be a part of the solution around this. Take it that it is your community responsibility to help physiatry. And thank you for putting up with the last speaker of the day. I have one request. My one last request is if you're going to vote, vote for our younger colleagues. Thank you.